Introduction to Genesis. The author is Moses. Date written between 1450 and 1400 BC. Time span, chapters 1 through 11 record the first years of man's history from the creation to the Tower of Babel. Chapters 12 through 50 cover about 300 years centering around the lives of four men: Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Joseph. Genesis spans more than the other 65 books of the Bible combined. Title: the word Genesis means beginning or origin. Besheth, the first word in the Hebrew text, means in the beginning. Background: Genesis is the first of the 5 books of Moses called the Pentateuch. Pentateuch. Genesis deals with the history of the human race dwelling in the lands from Eden to Ur in the first 11 chapters, and from Canaan to Egypt in the remaining 39 chapters. The first book forms the basis for all further revelation about God and his plan for man. Where written, the general belief is that Moses received this revelation while on Mount Sinai in the wilderness. To whom? Genesis is written for the benefit of the Israelites, but the message God made to the patriarchs are made known, and the foundation is set for the revelation of God's love and the redemption of mankind through Jesus Christ. Content: God uses his word to speak all creation into being. The creation is perfect until man sins by listening to Satan instead of trusting God and obeying his plan. This sin of Adam and Eve results in spiritual death and eventually leads to filling the world with hate, violence, and disobedience. Finally, sin prevails until God uses a flood to destroy mankind, except righteous Noah and his family. Even after this, sin sweeps the land, and the people build the huge Tower of Babel in defiance of God. God never stops loving man, however, and the last 39 chapters of Genesis reveals how God, through the family of Abraham, directs history to establish the early stages in his plan to save the people and mend their fellowship with him. The book closes with God's chosen people in Egypt. Key words: beginning, man, covenant. Genesis accounts for the beginning of the heavens and the earth, plant and animal life, man and woman, sin and civilization, and God's work of redemption. God's eternal plan of salvation for mankind is revealed through the covenant he establishes with Abraham. Themes: God creates man in his own image for fellowship with him. Man is created with a body, soul, a spirit, and a free will to make decisions for or against God. Though we sin, God will not give up on us or abandon us. In spite of our failures, God loves us and sees our value and worth. The Lord has a plan for every life, and it includes salvation and total obedience to his word. God has the love and the power to protect and provide for us as we place our faith in him. Outline: the story of creation. Genesis chapter 1 verse 1 through Genesis chapter 2 verse 25. Number 2, the beginning of sin and death. Genesis chapter 3 verses 1 through chapter 5 verse 32. Number 3, the story of Noah. Genesis chapter 6 verse 1 through chapter 10 verse 32. Number 4, the Tower of Babel. Genesis chapter 11 verses 1 through 9. Number 5, the lifespan of Abraham. Genesis chapter 11, verse 10 through chapter 25, verse 18. The lifespan of Isaac. Genesis chapter 25, verse 19 through chapter 26, verse 35. The lifespan of Jacob. Genesis chapter 27, verse 1 through Genesis chapter 36, verse 43. And number 8, the lifespan of Joseph. Genesis chapter 37, verse 1 through chapter 50, verse 26. May the Lord add a blessing to the introduction of the book of Genesis.